Then they move laterally through the network very systematically and exfiltrate data.
And they weren't shy about it, right? They claimed responsibility publicly.
On Telegram, yes. They even shared screenshots of internal JLR systems, things like troubleshooting guides for car charging, internal computer logs, just to prove how deep their access was.
So what's their motivation? Just money.
Well, financial extortion was clearly a primary goal, but their strategic timing during that critical September registration period and their public bragging.
Like that message, "Where's my new car, Land Rover?"
Exactly. That suggests broader objectives, things like causing maximum reputational damage, maybe gaining notoriety. It adds this whole psychological warfare element to their operations.
And their ambition seemed to be growing, from retail to critical manufacturing.
Yes, their previous attacks, like on M&S, caused huge losses, 300 million, 6 weeks of online sales suspension. This shows their capability to inflict massive economic damage.
And the focus on British brands. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Podcast series and to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that's not just compelling, but frankly urgent: the state of cybersecurity in a critical global industry. We're going to examine the unprecedented cybersecurity breaches that brought Jaguar Land Rover, a real titan of the automotive world, to a complete standstill back in 2025. And this isn't just, a corporate story. It's really a critical case study for every single organization. A stark warning, really.
Absolutely. It echoes across industries, highlighting these systemic vulnerabilities and the constantly evolving threats we're all facing.
Our source material for this deep dive is a comprehensive research document. It details the JLR attacks, looks at industry-wide vulnerabilities, and pulls out some crucial strategic lessons.
And our mission today is to extract the most vital insights from these incidents. We need to understand not just what happened, but really dig into why it matters for the broader landscape of industrial cybersecurity.
Exactly. Before we jump right in, though, if you're looking at your own organization's defenses, maybe thinking about how to bolster them, I highly recommend getting connected with Sudhakar Kakanada on LinkedIn. He can offer a quick chat on how to enhance your organization's cybersecurity, taking it to that next level of robustness. Definitely worth exploring. So, okay, JLR in 2025. The scale of these incidents was, well, truly shocking.
It really was. I mean, one of Britain's most prestigious luxury automakers hit by not one, but two major cyber attacks in the same year.
Can you even imagine the operational impact? Just staggering.
The first strike landed in March 2025. This was orchestrated by the Hellcat ransomware group.
And this wasn't minor, right?
Not at all. It compromised over 350 gigabytes of incredibly sensitive data. We're talking proprietary source code, critical development documentation, even employee records.
Wow, that's a massive amount of highly valuable information, essentially their blueprints, their future plans.
Precisely. But then, just a few months later, an even more devastating blow hit in September 2025.
This is the second one.
Yes, orchestrated by this collective known as the Scattered Lapsus Hunters. And this attack forced a complete shutdown of production operations across multiple countries.
A complete shutdown. So not just data theft, but stopping the assembly lines.
Exactly. A total operational freeze. It affected over 33,000 employees globally. It really makes you pause, think about the human impact alongside the financial hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like you said earlier, these weren't just isolated incidents hitting JLR by chance. They reveal systemic weaknesses, not just within JLR's operations maybe, but across automotive manufacturing cybersecurity as a whole.
Right. And they really demonstrate the escalating sophistication of these threat actors, doesn't it? Yeah. They're actively targeting critical infrastructure now.
Globally, yeah. The initial damage assessments from that September attack, they were just staggering.
I saw figures like £5 million a day.
Approximately £5 million in revenue daily during that production shutdown. And honestly, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg.
Because the total impact could be much higher.
Oh, potentially hundreds of millions of pounds once you factor in all the ripple effects. Think about supply chain disruption, paralyzed dealer networks.
And the long-term reputational damage.
Yeah.
That's harder to quantify, but it's real.
Exactly. It's like the analogy used in the research was a digital heart attack for a global corporation. The entire flow of operations just stops.
That's a powerful analogy. So let's dive deeper into that September attack, the anatomy of it. It began on a Sunday, September 1st, 2025. And the timing seems deliberate, right?
Chillingly precise. It was during the UK's critical 75 plate registration period, a time when new vehicles are traditionally launched, lots of activity.
So hitting them then maximizes the economic disruption.
Absolutely, maximum impact. And the perpetrators, as we mentioned, the Scattered Lapsus Hunters Collective.
Which wasn't just one group.
No, it was a merger, a dangerous one, of notorious entities, Scattered Spider, Lapsus, and Shiny Hunters. This fusion of capabilities made them, well, a truly formidable adversary.
And how did they get in? What was the specific vector?
They exploited a known vulnerability in SAP NetWeaver, specifically CVE 2020-6287.
Okay.
This was a critical flaw in SAP NetWeaver's LM configuration wizard. Basically, it allowed unauthenticated attackers to take complete control of SAP applications.
Right. Now, here's the kicker, isn't it? This vulnerability, it wasn't exactly a secret.
No, not at all. And this is what makes it particularly egregious for an organization like JLR. This vulnerability had been publicly disclosed. Patches were available.
TISA, the U.S. Cybersecurity Agency, had even issued warnings about it, hadn't they?
They had. So the fact that a critical flaw with known solutions was exploited,
Yeah.
well, it points directly to a critical failure somewhere in JLR's patch management processes.
It feels like a textbook example of a preventable disaster, a crucial defense just left unpatched.
It certainly raises those questions. The operational impact was swift and severe. JLR implemented an enterprise-wide shutdown.
Affecting multiple plants, Halewood, Solihull.
Halewood, Solihull, the Wolverhampton EMC plants, even the Gaydon R&D Center. And the disruption just cascaded outwards.
So dealer networks couldn't register new cars. Independent garages couldn't order parts.
Exactly. Everything ground to a halt. And the government's response was almost immediate. UK business and trade ministers got involved. NCSC, the ICO, the National Crime Agency.
Which really highlights how these attacks go way beyond just being a corporate IT problem. They have national security implications.
Definitely.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Let's talk about the March 2025 Hellcat attack. It was distinct, but sounds like it was equally sophisticated.
It was. And it exposed another critical weakness, this time really highlighting the supply chain vulnerability.
How did they operate differently?
The attack methodology here was the exploitation of stolen Atlassian Jira credentials. But these credentials belonged to an LG Electronics employee.
An employee of a partner company.
Yes, who had third-party access to JLR's Jira server. And these credentials, they were harvested by Luma InfoStealer malware.
Ah, so they bypassed JLR's direct perimeter security.
Completely, by leveraging the interconnected nature of modern business relationships. It's like finding that one weak link in what looks like a really strong reinforced chain.
Modern businesses rely so much on external partners, don't they? And that trust relationship becomes a powerful but vulnerable attack vector.
It's a huge challenge. The scope of data compromise from this March incident was also significant. Around 700 internal documents.
Sensitive stuff. Development logs, source codes.
Yes, sensitive development logs, proprietary source codes, and comprehensive employee datasets, usernames, emails, all that critical personal info.
And wasn't there another twist? A second threat actor.
Yes, adding a really chilling detail. A second threat actor, known only as APCS, emerged, and they claimed to have an additional 350 gigabytes of data.
Where did they get that from?
They apparently exploited InfoStealer credentials that dated all the way back to 2021.
2021. Wow.
This dual nature, and especially the longevity of those compromised credentials from 2021, it really reveals systemic security weaknesses.
It suggests JLR was vulnerable to multiple groups over a pretty significant period.
Exactly. It's not just about stopping the latest attack. It's about closing doors that might have been open for years, providing this persistent point of entry.
And the long-term implications are severe. Proprietary source code exposure, especially with EVs being so competitive.
It jeopardizes their competitive position, absolutely. And that employee data creates ongoing risks for future phishing, social engineering against staff. It's a long tail of risk.
Okay, so let's widen the lens now. The research suggests the entire automotive industry has become, what, a prime target?
That's the term they use, and the data backs it up. This isn't just about JLR. It's really an industry-wide crisis unfolding.
The statistics are pretty alarming, aren't they?
They are. Over 735 significant incidents directly targeting the sector since just 2023. And in 2024 alone, we saw over 100 ransomware attacks and 200 data breaches.
That puts automotive right up there as one of the most cyber-attacked industries globally.
Without a doubt. If we break down the trends, a staggering 97% of incidents are remote attacks. 40% specifically target those crucial back-end servers.
And ransomware in manufacturing generally.
That's jumped dramatically from affecting 46% of companies in 2020 to a massive 65% in 2024. It highlights a fundamental shift in where criminals are focusing their efforts.
And the supply chain seems particularly vulnerable.
Hugely. Suppliers bear the brunt of something like 67.3% of all attacks in the automotive ecosystem. It's like that domino effect we talked about.
Attack on one supplier, maybe one with less robust security.
Can bring down an entire network. We saw that vividly with the CDK Global incident in June 2024.
Right, that affected thousands of dealerships in North America.
Over 15,000 dealerships forced back to using pen and paper or manual operations. It's a perfect illustration of that cascading impact.
And the attackers themselves are evolving too, using AI.
Yes, modern attackers are employing AI-enhanced methods. They're focusing on cloud platforms, software ecosystems, API vulnerabilities. The strategy is shifting. They're prioritizing these large-scale attacks that can impact thousands, even millions of vehicles simultaneously. It's moved beyond targeting individual cars to attacking the whole system.
It's systemic ecosystem compromise. And specific vulnerabilities keep cropping up. Telematics, APIs.
Definitely. Telematic systems account for about 66% of incidents and API-related attacks. They increased by 30% to account for 17% of attacks in 2024. These figures directly align with the kinds of vectors exploited in the JLR breaches.
Let's circle back quickly to that SAP NetWeaver vulnerability, CVE 2020-6287. The CISO advisory was pretty blunt about its impact.
Extremely blunt. It stated successful exploitation enables unrestricted access to SAP systems through the creation of high-privileged users and the execution of arbitrary operating system commands.
That's not just a minor breach, that's total system takeover.
Pretty much. And this particular flaw affects SAP NetWeaver AS Java 7.3 and newer. That potentially impacts critical components like SAP ERP, product lifecycle management, PLM, CRM, supply chain management, SCM, business intelligence, the enterprise portal.
So it's not a niche flaw, it's like a skeleton key to the organization's core operational brain.
Exactly. And JLR's infrastructure complexity probably didn't help matters.
They operate across, 128 global sites, plus that huge partnership with TCS for IT services.
Right, an 800 million strategic partnership. That's a huge, sprawling digital footprint to defend.
And there's a paradox here, isn't there? Digital transformation brings efficiency, but
it can also paradoxically increase vulnerability. It creates more integration points, more system dependencies. It's like building a larger, more intricate castle, but now you have way more gates to defend. More complexity means more potential points of failure.
And their systems are incredibly interconnected. Manufacturing execution systems, ERP, PLM, SCM, CRM, dealer interfaces, parts ordering.
A compromise in one area can just cascade incredibly quickly through that whole network.
And touching on those credential-based attacks from March, again, the info stealers like Luma.
Yeah, they're insidious. They silently harvest credentials, which then get sold on dark web marketplaces. The scale is massive. Hudson Rock's database apparently has over 30 million infected systems just with Jira credentials alone.
Wow.
And this vector bypasses traditional perimeter security because it looks like legitimate user activity. And the fact that the APTS attacker used credentials from 2021.
It shows how legacy access can just sit there, exploitable for years if it's not properly managed.
It's like a silent killer lurking in the background, just waiting for someone to pick it up and use it.
This really underscores the need for robust security. And if you're listening and thinking about how to secure your own company's digital gates, I do want to, again, encourage you. Get connected with Sudhakar Kakinada on LinkedIn. Have that quick chat about enhancing your organization's cybersecurity, getting it to that next level of robustness. It's a crucial conversation to have. Now let's talk about the ripple effect. The economic impact seems vast, far beyond those immediate production losses.
Oh, absolutely. We mentioned the direct financial losses, that £5 million daily figure, tens of millions weekly, potentially hundreds of millions overall. And the timing hitting during the 75 plate registration period just maximized that pain.
But the effects spread much wider, didn't they? Into the supply chain.
Yeah, suppliers like F-Tech and WHS Plastics reported temporary layoffs because JLR wasn't ordering parts. Independent garages couldn't get the parts they needed to service vehicles.
So it's not just a JLR problem. It demonstrates that deep interconnectedness of modern manufacturing. It becomes a systemic issue.
Exactly. And beyond the immediate financials, these disruptions drive customers to competitors. They create long-term dissatisfaction. That's much harder to put a number on, but it's incredibly damaging to a brand's equity.
Trust earned over decades can be eroded so quickly.
In days. Then you have the regulatory and compliance costs. The ICO notification in the UK, potential fines up to 4% of annual turnover, or 20 million, whichever is higher. Those are significant numbers.
And JLR's statements about the data compromise seem to evolve over time.
They did, which highlights the intense scrutiny companies face. It underlines the need for careful, transparent communication during a crisis.
And this didn't just hit JLR, it impacted the parent company, Tata Motors, too.
Significantly, Tata Motors reported a 63% drop in quarterly profits, partly attributed to JLR's issues. It put pressure on their stock price and exposed the systemic risks across the wider Tata Group. Remember, Tata Technologies had also faced ransomware attacks earlier in 2025.
So an attack on a subsidiary.
Can be like a fever in one limb. It really does impact the entire corporate body very quickly.
Okay, let's focus now on the threat actors themselves. This Scattered Lapses Hunters Collective. It sounds like a super group of cyber criminals.
You could call it that. As we know, it's a merger of three notorious entities: Scattered Spider, Lapsus, and Shiny Hunters.
And this collaboration makes them more dangerous.
Definitely. It combines distinct capabilities, creating a far more versatile and sophisticated threat actor than any one of them alone. Scattered Spider, for example.
They're interesting, reportedly quite young.
Yes, consists mainly of English-speaking teenagers and young men, yet they demonstrate advanced persistent threat, or APT, capabilities. That means maintaining covert, long-term access with sophisticated tools and techniques, things you usually associate with nation-state actors.
That blend of youth and advanced skill is concerning.
It really is. And Scattered Spider had a track record already in the UK, targeting high-profile British brands like Marks & Spencer, Co-op, Harrods earlier in 2025. So there was a pattern.
And their tactics, how do they operate?
They're known for exploiting weak points in IT, particularly those legacy accounts that lack multi-factor authentication. Then they move laterally through the network, very systematically, and exfiltrate data.
And they weren't shy about it, right? They claimed responsibility publicly.
On Telegram, yes. They even shared screenshots of internal JLR systems, things like troubleshooting guides for car charging, internal computer logs, just to prove how deep their access was.
So what's their motivation? Just money.
Well, financial extortion was clearly a primary goal, but their strategic timing during that critical September registration period and their public bragging.
Like that message, "Where's my new car, Land Rover?"
Exactly. That suggests broader objectives, things like causing maximum reputational damage, maybe gaining notoriety. It adds this whole psychological warfare element to their operations.
And their ambition seemed to be growing, from retail to critical manufacturing.
Yes. Their previous attacks, like on M&S, caused huge losses, 300 million, 6 weeks of online sales suspension. This shows their capability to inflict massive economic damage.
And the focus on British brands, does that suggest anything more?
It raises questions. This geographic and sectoral focus on prominent British companies could suggest potential nationalist motivations, perhaps, or strategic objectives beyond just financial gain. That possibility elevates it to a national security concern, especially given how critical automotive manufacturing is to the UK economy.
So pulling all this together, what does this mean for you, for the listener, and for the future of industrial cybersecurity? Let's pivot to the key takeaways, the recommendations.
Okay. First and foremost, vulnerability management and patch compliance. It sounds basic, but the JLR compromise, particularly the September one, seems largely preventable.
Because the SAP patch existed.
Exactly. Organizations need comprehensive programs, automated scanning, risk-based prioritization of vulnerabilities, and crucially, mandatory timelines for applying critical security updates. The potential business disruption from delaying patching far outweighs the operational impact of planned maintenance windows needed to apply those updates.
And supply chain security. The March Hellcat attack really hammered that home.
Absolutely. Continuous monitoring of third-party access credentials, regular audits of your partner's security postures, these have to be non-negotiable in today's interconnected world. You have to trust, but verify.
What about credentials themselves? Those 2021 credentials APTS used.
That highlights a critical gap. Credential lifecycle management. Organizations need comprehensive rotation policies, especially for service accounts, which often get forgotten, and multi-factor authentication, MFA.
Needs to be everywhere.
Across all enterprise systems, including legacy applications, partner interfaces. It's fundamental. Groups like Scattered Spider actively look for those legacy accounts that don't have MFA enabled. It's low-hanging fruit for them.
So maybe proactive measures like dark web monitoring for exposed credentials should be standard practice.
I think it has to be. It allows companies to find out if their credentials have been compromised and are up for sale, letting them remediate before attackers exploit them.
And incident response, JLR's immediate shutdown. Disruptive, but maybe necessary?
It likely prevented worse outcomes, yeah. Things like further data exfiltration or even destructive malware deployment. It highlights the importance of having predetermined incident response procedures that prioritize containment, even if it means temporary operational pain. Business continuity plans also need to account for potentially extended IT outages with workable alternative, maybe manual processes for critical functions.
And crisis communication. JLR's evolving statements show the need for a plan there too.
Definitely. Pre-developed strategies, clear protocols for consistent messaging. Starting with conservative initial assessments and updating transparently as the investigation progresses is vital for maintaining trust and controlling the narrative.
And for the automotive industry specifically.
The big challenge is the integration of IT and operational technology, OT. Cybersecurity can't be an afterthought tacked onto electric vehicles or connected cars. It has to be baked into the product development lifecycle from the very beginning.
So more broadly, these JLR incidents really reiterate that automotive manufacturing is critical national infrastructure.
It absolutely is. It requires enhanced protection, better government coordination like we saw with the NCSC collaborating with JLR, and probably more international cooperation given how global these supply chains are.
And finally, the threat landscape itself is evolving.
Rapidly. The rise of these collaborative cybercriminal networks like scattered lapsus hunters, their adoption of AI-enhanced attack capabilities, it demands a response in kind. We need more AI-driven security operations centers, enhanced collaboration between cybersecurity professionals, law enforcement, and national security agencies just to keep pace.
It's a stark picture. The JLR attacks really demonstrated that cyber is no longer just an IT problem, is it?
Not at all. It's a fundamental business risk, plain and simple. And as we've seen, it's a national security imperative too.
And looking ahead, as vehicles become increasingly connected, increasingly autonomous, it leaves you with a pretty provocative thought. Are we truly ready? Are we ready to protect the roads and the industries that build these complex machines from the invisible threats that are lurking in the digital shadows?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? It requires continuous adaptation, constant vigilance. Cybersecurity is never done.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Jaguar Land Rover cyberattacks of 2025. It really is a sobering reminder. And one last time, if this conversation has you thinking about strengthening your own organization's cybersecurity posture, do consider reaching out. Get connected with Sudha Karkakinada on LinkedIn for that quick chat. It could be invaluable. Stay secured and stay tuned.